For those of you that are here for the thumbnail, make sure you watch to the end of the video to see what happens to these two Charizards. Okay guys, welcome back to the video. In my previous video I said we were going to talk about fake Pokemon cards and what to look out for when you're suspecting that the cards are fake. Now, I used to go to toy fairs and sell old and modern Pokemon cards. And quite a lot of the time, parents were asking me what to look out for when it came to fake Pokemon cards. Now, what was happening is the parents were buying the real Pokemon cards, which are on this side, and the kids were taking them to school and swapping them for fake Pokemon cards, which are on this side. Now, on the screen now, you will see why parents opt to buy fake Pokemon cards. Now, they're really cheap, and you get a lot of GX cards for your money. And I can understand the appeal for parents because if you think about it, on this side, these cards are very expensive. The parents don't really have the money to buy them, and the kids really want the cards. And on this side, they're really cheap. They're exactly the same print. There's a few key differences that we're going to go through to discuss what to spot for when looking at fake Pokemon cards. So the idea behind this video is basically just to educate both you, the viewer, if you're a child and you are swapping your expensive cards, your real Pokemon cards at school for fake, what to look out for. And it's also educational for parents when they arrive home from school and the kid shows them the new cards that they've traded for, and the parents suspect that they may be fake. So here is a stack of cards that I received in a collection. The collection came with a load of vintage real Pokemon cards. And as you can see here, this is an entire Sun and Moon set with potential full arts, Rainbow Rares, Secret Rares. And these are all fake. The guy didn't disclaim that these were in the set, which is fine because I got the cards that I actually wanted out of the set, and these were just added extras that were in the back of the folder. As you can see, we have two Rainbow Rare Charizards. For me, it's quite easy to spot that these are fake. The same with the Rotom Dex and the Nest Ball. We have a full range of full art Secret Rares. And then we get through to some basic GXs. Now, what to look out for, as we'll go through this, is differences in colours, textures, artwork, and there's quite a lot of different things we can look for. So let's get started. Okay, so I think the best way to do this is to go like for like in terms of cards. So we'll leave the Charizards till the end. And we'll start with this. This is a full art Metagross. The camera focuses. There we go. Okay, so this is a full art Metagross with Geotech system as its ability. So we also have that as a fake Pokemon card. So I don't know if you can notice straight away there is a distinctive color variation in the way that the light shines on the card. So as you can see on the real card, this one, the actual light direction goes from the top left to the bottom right hand corner, and you can see like the light, the way it reflects at an angle, and you do get this sort of rainbow effect going up and across. Whereas on these fake cards, you'll see that the direction actually goes from left to right, which just goes straight down. Now there's a massive difference, and that's due to the texturing of how the reflection is so much stronger on this fake card than this real card. So on this fake card, as you can see, if you look closely, there is no texturing whatsoever. Now on full art Pokemon cards, Secret Rares and Rainbow Rares, they all have a texture, which I'll show you now. So let me just get this out of the sleeve, be easier for you to see. So as you can see, it's very hard to see on the camera. There we go, the light is better now. So you can see all of this texturing. Now this texturing is actually raised from the card, so you might be able to hear it scratching. So that is what's known as a textured card, and this is on all of the full arts secret rares, such as the gold cards and the Rainbow Rare cards as well. Now fake cards, none of them have this. None at all have this texturing. The reason is that it's just too expensive for the fake producers to recreate this textured effect. Okay, so what else can we look out for in a fake card? Well, the texturing on these cards is very obvious to spot. So such as the gold cards, the Rainbow Rares, and these full arts. The texturing is a massive giveaway, and that's the same with all of them. So this is a full art Darkrai, and again, there is no texturing there, and the same with the Tapu Bulu as a full art, and again, there is just no texture whatsoever. Okay, so that's probably the biggest giveaway when it comes to these. I mean, the half art regular GXs are a lot more difficult to spot, but we can go through them now. So what we have here is a Tapu Bulu promo card. Now this is a real Pokemon card. So if we take this out of its case, you can see that you've got that kind of rainbow effect again going across the screen. It's very, very less noticeable with these cards, but somewhere in here we have the fake version. So here's the fake. Now, as you can see, it's very, very difficult to spot the difference between these two cards. Now, I can spot quite a few different issues with this card. Mostly the print quality. As you can see, the text of the Horn Attack and Nature's Judgment is a lot thinner. It doesn't have as much of a white drop background on the text. The font is a different font as well. So, for example, if this focuses, I don't think it's going to focus very well. Come on, focus. Okay, so there we go. So there's 120. I know it's not very in focus. There we go, it's a bit better. But as you can see, the font is a bit hazy, and the 120 plus is very different font to this 120. As you can see, the ones are very different, and this font is a lot thicker. Another point is the health points up here. So again, you have a different font entirely. So let me just get this part. So it's this one is very thin, very narrow. There we go. As you can see, and there we go. So the real one is a lot thicker, a lot more defined, and the fake one is a lot thinner, and not quite. It's an entirely different one, if you can spot that, compared to this one. Okay, another thing is this basic here is slightly different to how this basic looks in terms of the font. It's kind of hard to pick up on the camera, but this basic has a slight shine through it. It's kind of hard to spot on the camera itself, whereas this is just a black font in basic with a slightly different font as well. Okay, so there's a couple of things to pick up on. Everything else is pretty much identical apart from the actual design of the card. Now, on the real card, there is a very nice shine to the card. As you can see here, you get all of this rainbow effect going through the card, and that makes it really nice. But you don't get a very similar effect on this card. Like, you get this shine again, it goes from left to right, but what you'll notice is that some of the texture, the lighting is different, and because they can't replicate it, what they've done is they've added these lines into the artwork of this fake card to try and mimic that same effect. So if I can just get this card back up, as you can see, those lines don't actually appear on the real Pokemon card. They only appear when the light hits at an angle. So they've actually drawn in those lines to try and recreate that effect, which is probably the most hardest change to the card. That's probably something even collectors might not have noticed. So as you can see, these lines here, they don't actually appear on this card. They just appear from the shine. Okay, so the last thing to spot for these fake cards is the border. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, the scaling is always off when they print these cards. So as you can see, the borders are slightly larger on these ones. Now, they can be miscut from time to time, but the actual sizing of Tapu Bulu is ever so slightly larger on the real card as opposed to the fake card. I'm just trying to focus the camera again. There we go. So as you can see, the artwork actually shows a little bit more around the border. It's quite a small difference to spot, but as you can see on the real one, the vines come off straight at the end, just after the black border, whereas this one you have an extension that goes all the way to the top of the card because the card and the black border have come off ever so slightly early. On the real card, you don't have the tip of Tapu Bulu here, but here you have a finished tip. So that's another one to spot. The last one is actually the back of the card. Now, over the years, they've gotten a lot better at faking the back of the cards, but as you can see on the real card, there's a lot darker blue border. On the fake card is a lot lighter, and you can't really tell on this camera very well, but it's actually more of a purpley colour and ever so slightly lighter than the real card. So if we can zoom in a little bit and focus. So as you can see, the real card has a lot darker border, and this one has a lot lighter border. You have a distinguished break between the card background and the border itself just here, whereas on here it's very, very indistinguishable. So it just kind of fades straight into the border itself. Now that's one of the key things to look at on all Pokemon cards that could be fake, is this fading ability. Okay, so those are the main things to look out for on these more modern Sun and Moon versions. So I've swapped these over now, so this is the fake card here and this is the real card. You can tell again, the first thing I spot is the border difference in the size of the border. And then you obviously have the font difference as well. So there we go, the focus is better now. Okay, so I mean that is it with the GXs. I mean there's a lot of variations. They're a lot harder to spot unless you know what you're looking out for. Hopefully this video has helped with that in spotting fake Pokemon cards. So let's just go over a couple more again. So here we have a secret rare metal frying pan. I don't have a fake version of this. I did have a Rotom Dex, but I sold it recently. So here is a fake version. So as you can see, you've still got that rainbow effect when it goes left to right again. Whereas on the real one, there's not really much of a rainbow effect at all. But what you will notice is that it has that texture again on the card. And it's just a lot nicer. The card, the feel of the card is a lot more sturdy. This is very sort of weak and flexible compared to the real card. And again, there is just no texture whatsoever on this Rotom Dex. And again, on the back, you have that distinguishable color change. Okay, so the biggest reason you're probably here is these two fake Charizard GXs. Now, these cards really annoy me, and I understand why the parents buy these cheap cards, because this card can range between 100 to 200 English pounds. So anywhere between what, $150 to $250, maybe more. And people are selling them on eBay, and people are bidding on them, as you can see on the screen now. This card is currently at £68, and it's had 8 bids, which is insane for a fake card. I can tell it's fake just by looking at the fact that it has no texture. So here we have 2 fake cards and a real card. Now from a distance, they're very hard to tell the difference. So let's get the real one out. Okay, so here's the real one. As you can see straight away, there's that shine, but the texture is a lot more defined, and it's really clear to see that there is a texture there. Whereas on these fake cards, there is nothing, there's no texture whatsoever, there's nothing there. Again, it's very, very good fake, because this time they've managed to make the font exactly the same size, as you can see here. Everything is almost identical. The print of these attacks is a lot more defined, a lot clearer, and it's a lot harder to spot that the fact that this has a slightly larger white border on the real card than this here. But again, these are still fake. I think I just spotted the biggest mistake that they've made on this fake card, is that this is 150 on the real card, and on the fake one it says 158. So that's probably the biggest giveaway, that it's a fake. But other than that, they've managed to get everything pretty much identical. The border is ever so slightly off on the top of this card and around, but other than that, it is pretty hard to distinguish, apart from the fact it has no texture. So yeah, there you go guys, that is pretty much how to spot fakes versus the real Pokemon cards. Now, like I said before, I understand why the parents buy these cheap cards, but it's just not fair for parents to look at their kids' Pokemon collection and realize that they spent a fortune on buying them the real cards, such as these gold borders, which seem to be very popular with the kids, and then swapping them for a fake Pokemon card. So this probably goes for £8 to £10 in the UK, and this really just isn't worth the money it's printed on. People on eBay that are actually bidding on these cards are getting scammed, and they probably don't realize it, which is really bad. So we're gonna cut this, and we're gonna cut this, because I will not be reselling these. I don't believe it's fair for the parents or the kids themselves. So here we go. So there you go, 2 fake Charizard GXs cut. Thanks for watching guys, please hit the subscribe button, and if you could give this video a thumbs up, that would be great. I'll see you in the next video.